Your life will always reflect the quality of your thoughts. Everything you see in your outer world is a direct projection of what you consistently think, believe, and speak in your inner world. If your thoughts are full of doubt, fear, and self-criticism, your experiences will echo those same emotions. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you think you deserve. Every action you take, every decision you make, begins as a seed planted in the soil of your mind. When those seeds are negative, they grow into limitations that choke your potential before it can even bloom. When you wake up every morning and entertain thoughts like, I can't do this, or I'll never get better, your mind begins to treat those statements as commands. The subconscious doesn't question, it obeys. It starts to filter your reality to match those beliefs. It looks for evidence that you are unworthy, unqualified, or too late. And slowly that becomes your truth. But here's the thing. It's not the truth because it's real. It's real because you've repeated it enough times for your mind to accept it as truth. That's why what you think repeatedly becomes the script of your life. When your thoughts are negative, you begin to create invisible boundaries around your potential. You start avoiding opportunities that could change your life because your thoughts tell you that you're not ready. You shy away from people who inspire you because your thoughts whisper that you don't belong there. You hold yourself back not because you're incapable, but because your mind has been programmed to believe that progress is dangerous and success is out of reach. And when that programming goes unchecked, you become the gatekeeper of your own prison. The reason so many people never break free from mediocrity isn't because they lack talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. It's because they never learn to master their thoughts. They believe their mind is something that happens to them instead of something they have authority over. They live on mental autopilot, letting every worry, every doubt, every criticism shape their emotional state. But your mind is not meant to control you. It's meant to serve you. And if you want your life to change, you must first take back ownership of your thinking. You must begin to monitor what enters your mind the same way you'd guard a treasure. When a negative thought tries to enter, pause and ask, who told me that? Who told you that you can't win? Who told you that your past defines your future? Who told you that your best days are behind you? Most of those thoughts didn't come from truth. They came from fear, from other people's insecurities, or from experiences that you never healed from. You don't owe those thoughts loyalty. You owe yourself freedom. The power to change your life doesn't come from forcing positivity, but from consciously choosing to replace negativity with truth. Every time a thought tells you that you're not enough, replace it with, I am equipped for what's ahead. When your mind says, you'll fail again, say, every failure taught me something that made me stronger. When the voice of doubt gets loud, let the voice of faith get louder. Your mind responds to repetition. And the more you affirm what's true and empowering, the less room there will be for what's destructive. The shift begins when you stop treating negative thoughts as facts and start treating them as intruders. You don't have to entertain them. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to let them dictate your mood or your future. Instead, you train your mind to align with the version of you that's growing, thriving, and unstoppable. This isn't pretending problems don't exist. It's choosing to focus on the solution instead of being consumed by the struggle. It's learning to redirect your mental energy toward what builds you instead of what breaks you. Understand that every thought carries emotional energy, Negative thinking drains you before you even take action, while positive thinking energizes you to move forward. When you think from a place of gratitude, possibility, and faith, you attract circumstances and ideas that match that vibration. It's not magic, it's focus. Your energy flows where your attention goes, and if you keep focusing on what's wrong, you'll keep finding more of it. But when you start focusing on what's possible, your mind begins to find new pathways, new solutions, and new reasons to keep going. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's a discipline, a daily practice. It takes effort to catch your thoughts, question them, and redirect them. It takes awareness to notice the lies you've been believing and replace them with words of power. But with time, what was once difficult becomes natural. The same way you once trained your mind to believe in limitation, you can train it to believe in abundance, success, and peace. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. Every dream, every breakthrough, every transformation begins with a thought that says, I can. If your current life doesn't reflect the future you desire, it's not because you've failed. It's because it's time to build new thoughts. When you take control of what happens in your mind, you take control of what happens in your life. You said, second, expand it and don't add any ending sentence and make it lengthy in 10 paragraphs without heading and conclusion. ChatGPT said, awareness is the foundation of all transformation. You cannot fix what you refuse to face, and you cannot rise above what you refuse to recognize. Most people move through life reacting to their emotions and circumstances without ever questioning where those thoughts come from. They assume their thinking is their identity, when in truth, their thoughts are simply patterns, habits of the mind that have been repeated for so long they feel permanent. But once you become aware of a thought, you separate yourself from it. You shift from being the thought to being the observer of the thought. And that single shift gives you power. Awareness isn't about judgment, it's about observation. It's about stepping back and watching the flow of your thoughts without labeling them as good or bad, right or wrong. It's saying, I see that I'm thinking this way, but that doesn't mean it's true. When you can do that, you break the automatic cycle of reaction that controls so many lives. You stop letting emotions steer your direction and start choosing responses that serve your growth. Awareness is the space between the noise of your mind and the truth of your potential. Many people believe their thoughts are facts simply because they feel real. But feelings are not facts. They're responses to what you focus on. If you constantly focus on fear, you'll feel anxious. If you focus on what's missing, you'll feel lack. Awareness teaches you to step outside of that loop and see how your focus shapes your emotions. When you realize that your feelings are feedback, not prophecy, you regain control over your mental and emotional state. That's when real change begins to unfold. Becoming aware of negative thoughts takes courage because it means confronting the parts of yourself that have been hidden or ignored. It means admitting that you've believed things that have limited you. It means being honest about how often you've repeated disempowering words to yourself. But this honesty is not weakness, it's strength. Awareness is not about shame, it's about liberation. You can't break a chain until you see where it's attached. When you start noticing your thought patterns, you might realize that much of your mental dialogue isn't even your own. It's the voice of your past, the echoes of other people's opinions, the fears society has fed you since childhood. You've been conditioned to think a certain way, to expect certain outcomes, to doubt your own power. Awareness allows you to see that conditioning for what it is a program, not a truth. And when you see it clearly, you gain the authority to rewrite it. You begin to catch yourself in the moment. You hear that thought that says, you're not good enough. And instead of agreeing with it, you question it. You ask, who told me that? You ask, is this thought helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Every time you do this, you weaken the grip that old pattern has on you. You take back territory in your own mind. You reclaim the right to think intentionally, to believe selectively, and to choose the mental seeds you plant. Awareness also exposes how easily negativity disguises itself as logic. Sometimes it's not a loud, destructive voice. It's a subtle whisper that sounds reasonable. It says, be realistic, when what it really means is don't try. It says, people like you never make it, when what it really means is stay in your comfort zone. When you're aware, you begin to hear these disguised doubts for what they are, fear wearing a mask of wisdom. And when you can recognize fear, you can move through it instead of obeying it. This kind of awareness doesn't happen all at once. It grows with practice. It's like learning to listen beneath the noise, to hear the undercurrent of your thoughts. The more you practice observing your mental patterns, the faster you catch them. Over time, you'll notice that negative thoughts still appear, but they no longer control your emotions. They lose their power because awareness has weakened their influence. The thought may visit, but it doesn't get to stay. Awareness also invites responsibility. Once you see the role your thoughts play in shaping your reality, you can no longer blame circumstances for everything. You begin to understand that while you can't control what happens to you, you can control how you interpret it and what meaning you give it. That's the essence of personal power, taking ownership of your perception. Because perception determines experience, and experience determines destiny. The more aware you become, the more intentional your life becomes. You stop living by reaction and start living by design. You no longer rush through days unconsciously thinking the same limiting thoughts. You slow down, observe, and choose. You catch the moment when your mind tries to drift into fear and you redirect it toward faith. You catch the moment when doubt tries to take root and you replace it with determination. Awareness gives you back the steering wheel of your life, reminding you that your mind was never meant to drive you. It was meant to be driven by you. You said, third, expand it and don't add any ending sentence and make it lengthy in 10 paragraphs without heading and conclusion. ChatGPT said, you can't fight darkness by shouting at it to leave. You remove it by turning on the light. The same principle applies to your mind. You don't get rid of negative thoughts by wrestling with them or by saying, I don't want to think this way. The moment you try to fight a thought directly, you actually feed it energy. The harder you resist, the stronger it becomes. The secret isn't resistance, it's replacement. When your mind is filled with a thought of truth, a thought of strength, a thought of faith, the old thought has no room to live. Light doesn't argue with darkness. It simply shines and darkness disappears. Most people make the mistake of trying to silence negativity through willpower. They tell themselves to stop thinking bad thoughts, to just be positive. But that doesn't work. The human mind can't focus on not doing something. It needs a direction. When you say, don't think about failure, your brain still pictures failure. When you say, don't be afraid, your body still reacts to fear. The only way to transform your inner world is to give your mind a new target. Something higher, something empowering, something true. When a negative thought enters your mind, it's a signal, not a sentence. It's an opportunity to reprogram your mental pattern. For example, if a thought says, "I'll never succeed," you don't argue with it. You replace it with, "Every challenge is preparing me for success." If your mind says, "It's too late for me," replace it with, "I'm right on time for my breakthrough." Each replacement is a moment of spiritual discipline. You are retraining your mind to align with faith instead of fear. Every positive replacement is a seed planted, and every seed planted reshapes your inner environment. This process of replacement isn't about pretending that problems don't exist. It's about deciding that problems don't deserve to control your perspective. Negative thoughts are often automatic, but positive thoughts are intentional. They require effort, practice, and consistency. You can't expect to think powerfully once and see instant transformation. Just as a muscle grows through repetition, your mindset strengthens through repeated acts of mental discipline. Every time you replace a negative thought with a powerful truth, you're lifting the weight of your old conditioning. The key is consistency. You can't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You have to water it, protect it, and nurture it until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. The same goes for your thoughts. The first few times you replace a negative thought, it may feel fake or forced. That's normal. Your mind has been rehearsing doubt and fear for years. But with time, your new thoughts will start to feel natural. They'll become the default setting of your consciousness. The goal is to get to the point where positivity is not an act of effort, but an act of identity. You must also understand that replacement is not denial. Denial says nothing is wrong. Replacement says something may be wrong, but I choose to focus on what's right. Denial avoids pain. Replacement transforms it. When you learn to replace fear with faith, anxiety with peace, anger with understanding, you don't just change your mood, you elevate your vibration. You move from reaction to creation, from victimhood to victory. You begin to see that every thought is a tool, and when used with intention, it can build the kind of life that reflects inner peace and power. Another truth about replacement is that it creates momentum. Each positive thought builds upon the last one. As you continue to replace negativity with truth, your mind begins to anticipate good instead of expecting bad. You start to develop a habit of faith, and faith becomes your reflex. Instead of waiting for life to go wrong, you start expecting it to go right. Instead of bracing yourself for disappointment, you begin to open yourself to possibility. That shift in expectation is what begins to reshape your results in the physical world. To replace negative thoughts effectively, you must also speak your replacements out loud. Words carry energy, and when you speak, you give your thoughts power. Silent thinking influences you, but spoken declarations transform you. Say it with conviction. Speak your new belief even before you see it manifested. Say, I am becoming stronger every day. Say, I am capable of achieving more than I once believed. Say, my mind is my ally, not my enemy. The sound of your own voice reinforces your new programming, sending a powerful message to your subconscious that this is the new truth you've chosen to live by. Replacing thoughts is not a one-time act. It's a lifestyle. You don't clean your mind once and expect it to stay that way forever. The same way your body needs daily nourishment, your mind needs daily renewal. Every day, you're exposed to negativity through people, media, and circumstances. Without conscious replacement, those thoughts begin to take root again. But when you make replacement a daily habit, you stay ahead of the storm. You live with clarity, confidence, and focus, regardless of what's happening around you. When you master the art of replacing thoughts, your entire life begins to move differently. You stop reacting to fear and start responding with faith. You stop replaying the old stories of defeat and start writing new ones of victory. Your energy changes, your mindset evolves, and your reality begins to align with your higher vision. The process is simple but powerful. When you fill your mind with truth, there's no room left for lies. You said, fourth, expand it and don't add any ending sentence and make it lengthy in 10 paragraphs without heading and conclusion. ChatGPT said every day, your mind collects information, emotions, and experiences like a sponge. You wake up and instantly get hit with notifications, conversations, responsibilities, and distractions. Without realizing it, you start carrying thoughts from yesterday into today, and before long, your mental space becomes cluttered. That's why resetting your mind daily isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. You wouldn't expect your phone to run smoothly if you never closed the apps or cleared the memory. In the same way, your mind can't function with clarity when it's overloaded with unprocessed thoughts. A mental reset is what clears the noise so your inner voice can speak again. When your mind is cluttered, even small problems feel heavy. You find yourself overthinking, replaying conversations, and worrying about things that haven't happened yet. It's not that life suddenly got harder, it's that your mental bandwidth is consumed by unnecessary data. A reset allows you to step back and breathe. It's the moment you pause and remind yourself that you are not your thoughts and you are not your stress. You are the observer of both. The more often you reset, the easier it becomes to separate your peace from your problems. A mental reset doesn't mean escaping reality. It means recentering within it. It's the process of stepping away from the external chaos long enough to reconnect with your internal stability. You might reset through prayer, meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. The form doesn't matter as much as the intention: to quiet the world long enough to hear your own spirit again. It's not about adding more to your to-do list. It's about subtracting the noise that keeps you from thinking clearly. One of the most powerful ways to reset your mind is through intentional breathing. Most people underestimate how deeply connected the mind and breath are. When you breathe shallowly, your body signals stress. When you breathe deeply and slowly, your body signals safety. A few moments of focused breathing can slow your heart rate, relax your muscles, and clear your mental fog. It's like pressing the reset button on your nervous system. In that calm space, your mind starts to reorganize itself naturally, just as a shaken snow globe settles when left still. Another key part of resetting is gratitude. Gratitude is a mental cleanser. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. When your mind is cluttered with worry, frustration, or self-doubt, gratitude interrupts that cycle. It reminds you of the blessings that already exist around you, anchoring you in the present moment. Taking a few minutes each day to name what you're thankful for is not just a feel-good exercise, it's a powerful mental reset that rewires your brain for positivity and peace. Stillness is another essential ingredient. The modern world glorifies business, but constant motion prevents reflection. When you never pause, you never process. And what you don't process, you carry. Stillness allows the mind to release tension, reorganize priorities, and renew focus. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to stop, breathe, and allow silence to do its work. In stillness, confusion clears and clarity emerges, not because you forced it, but because you gave your mind space to settle. Resetting your mind also means releasing the past daily. Every day comes with moments of disappointment, frustration, and hurt. If you don't let them go, they accumulate like emotional dust. You begin to carry the weight of yesterday into every new moment. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. It means you choose peace over replaying pain. The past doesn't have to keep replaying if you stop pressing play. Resetting is your way of saying, that moment is over. I release it so I can create something new. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. That's why the first few minutes after waking are sacred. Before you scroll, before you check your messages, before you step into the noise, reset your mind. Speak life over yourself. Declare what kind of energy you want to bring into the world. Say, today I choose peace. Today I choose focus. Today I choose to rise above negativity. This simple act of mental alignment in the morning can shift the entire rhythm of your day because it puts you in control of your inner state before the world tries to shape it for you. Just as mornings are powerful for setting your mind, evenings are powerful for cleansing it. Before you go to sleep, reflect on your day. Acknowledge what went well, release what didn't, and forgive yourself for what you're still learning. That nightly reflection acts as an emotional reset. It prevents unresolved thoughts from following you into tomorrow. It allows your subconscious to rest instead of rehearse. When you sleep with peace, you wake up with clarity. Over time, resetting your mind becomes less of an act and more of a rhythm. You begin to move through life with more awareness, more calm, and more control. You stop allowing every small challenge to drain your energy because you know how to return to center. The more you practice resetting, the quicker you recover from negativity. It's not that problems stop appearing. It's that they no longer shake you the same way. Resetting keeps your mind light, focused, and aligned with your higher vision, no matter how much noise surrounds you.